best to have multiple so that you have backups. Exchanges go bust, banks change their tune with respect to crypto. So it's always best to have backups. So as I say, you're not waiting for that pro withdrawal limit verification at the peak of the bull run. Now, more established exchanges are considered safer and more reliable: Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, etc. But FTX was seen as one of the most reliable exchanges out there, and it went bust. So it's always a good reminder to keep your crypto off exchanges and to have multiple exchange accounts with multiple offboarding options. Okay, businesses in crypto. Often a lot of people ask if they should invest in crypto via their business. I'll address some common questions here. So, can I invest in crypto with my business? Yes. It's possible to get a business account with a crypto exchange and to buy crypto through your business. However, I don't usually recommend it. Now, this heavily depends on your situation, but generally speaking, it's much better to buy crypto personally for tax purposes. As we saw in those list of countries that don't tax crypto, a lot of them are on the basis that it's personal investing and investing, not trading. Should I set up a business just to invest my crypto? Okay, so the answer is generally no. It's usually more tax efficient to buy personally. However, it is possible to set up entities solely to hold personal investments, for asset protection purposes, and these can be used to invest in crypto. Now, one of the benefits of setting up a business to invest in crypto is that can then give you additional on and off ramps because you're getting new bank accounts and exchange accounts. And thirdly, do businesses pay capital gains taxes? So no, businesses usually pay corporation taxes, and any taxes on crypto are usually taxed at the corporate tax rate. Again, this depends on the country, but that's often why investing in crypto via a business isn't 0% tax on crypto, whilst investing personally is. Okay, so what's the process now, right? If you're looking to pay 0% capital gains taxes on your crypto, maybe you're not concerned about personal income tax or corporation taxes, but you've identified that you are going to make some money at the end of the bull run, you stand to potentially pay a decent amount in taxes, and you want to do something about it. What's the process? Here are the high-level steps you can follow to relocate. So the first thing you should do is you should check if you need to pay a departure or an exit tax in your country. So some countries have these departure or exit taxes where they'll tax you one last time on the value of your assets when you formally leave as a tax resident. Some countries have an exit tax, but they don't apply to crypto. Some do. Australia, Canada, both have exit taxes that apply to crypto. So it's worth finding out if your country has a departure or an exit tax, as let's say you're waiting to peak bull run to then leave your country. What you'll end up doing is you'll actually end up paying tax on the value of your crypto at the peak before you've even sold. So for that person, if you're from Australia, if you're from Canada, if you're from a country that has a departure or an exit tax, you need to be looking at leaving now. Okay, second, you need to identify which 0% tax crypto country you prefer to live. There's a number of options. Some countries are safer. Some have good business tax rates. Some have more sunshine. You need to figure out what your priorities are and where you can see yourself living. Just as a note, if you bought your crypto before you left your home country and then you sell it once you leave, you might need to stay away for at least 5 years before you come back. Otherwise, you might have to pay tax because a lot of countries don't want their residents leaving for a year to sell something and then come back. You need to have either bought the asset once you've left your country as a tax resident, or bought it, leave, sell, stay away for, usually it's about 5 years. Again, differs per country. Third, once you've identified the country, you need to apply for the relevant visa or residency permit. So unless you're a European moving to another European country, you'll probably need to get a visa or residence permit to live there. And even if you're European, you should get a local ID card, etc. 4, you need to set up personal banking in your new country. So as part of leaving your country as a tax resident, it's usually important to set up new banking so that your center of economic interest is moved away from your home country as a potential tie. And so this new personal banking will be part of your crypto on-off ramps. So make sure you research which banks in your chosen country are crypto friendly. And as I say before, I recommend to set up multiple accounts. Okay, 5, you need to then register for crypto exchanges. So these need to be crypto exchanges that are connected to your new details, your residence card, your address in your new country, and connected to your new bank accounts, not your old details. And as I said before, make sure you set up multiple so you have some backup options. Okay, and it's not always so simple, and that is assuming that you actually thought that this was simple, because it's likely that you don't just invest in crypto. You probably run a business or you receive some sort of online income. And so this is where it can start to get complicated, because a number of the countries shared have 0% tax on crypto, but they then have high personal corporate tax rates. So you might save some taxes on crypto, but you might end up paying more in personal or business taxes. And maybe you've already relocated to save tax. Some of the business or residency setups might be fine for low tax on business or personal income, but they might not give you the necessary exchange or banking infrastructure to withdraw the crypto. So you need to be ensured that you can get bank accounts open that will also work with on and offboarding in that country. A really good example of this would be Cyprus. In Cyprus, you can set up a business, get low corporate tax rates, and then get a tax residency by spending 60 days a year there. Now, that gives you the rest of the year to travel between other countries. But unlike in Dubai, when you set up a business in Cyprus, you don't automatically get personal residency. So you still need to figure out where your personal accounts are going to be. And you probably can get those set up in Cyprus. But then back in, I think, 2008, Cyprus government seized nearly half of people's deposits over 100k euros when the country was in economic crisis. So it's not a really stable place to store your wealth. So that's what I mean there. You might have a low tax setup, but maybe you don't have the banking infrastructure to be able to safely pull out or withdraw your crypto. Okay, 0% corporate tax, low corporate tax is a good lifestyle. Slovenia might tax your crypto, but it doesn't mean you should move your whole life there. There's more to life than just paying no tax. So it's important to pick a country where you're around like-minded people and you'll actually enjoy living there. And if you run an online business, you should look to match a 0% crypto tax country with a country with low corporate taxes. Now, it should be a country that you're happy to spend time in, or just think of this as a short-term sacrifice to cash out and then move somewhere else in future. Once you have cashed out, you can go and live in a higher tax country, and they won't tax the money you've already made, unless you were living there before, in which case that 5-year rule I mentioned before applies. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, tax is pretty complicated. It differs from country to country, and every set of circumstances is different. This is quite a lot to handle on yourself, particularly if you're a busy business owner. So I generally recommend people take the time to develop a custom plan. And here are the things I work through with clients when developing their plan. So the first question I ask is, identify your business and personal goals. What are the things you value, and how do you want to live your life? What are you trying to optimize for? Are you trying to start a new life long-term in a new country, or are you trying to move somewhere short-term to save taxes and then move elsewhere in future? Where is your current tax residency, and what are the requirements in order to leave it? Different countries have different requirements to no longer be a tax resident, such as having a new permanent home abroad, having a residency permit, moving your economic interests, for example, your bank account abroad, and limiting the number of days you spend in the country. Do we need to consider departure or exit taxes? So as I mentioned before, some countries have a departure or an exit tax where they're going to tax you one last time on the value of your assets when you leave as a tax resident. So it's worth finding out if your country has a departure or exit tax now, as if you were waiting to peak bull run, you'd actually end up paying tax at the peak. So for that person, you should really be getting on top of this now. Where do you ideally want to live or spend your time? Do you want to be in a city? Do you want to be somewhere with good surf? Do you want to be somewhere in a mountain, living in a cabin, working online with Starlink? You're going to need to live wherever you choose. So make sure it aligns to the kind of life you want to live. What does your business do? What structure or structures do we need to put in place to continue to facilitate and not impact your business operations as it currently is? And do you need any licenses? Are you operating the kind of business where you need a license? And do we need to factor that in? Do you need any new visas, residencies, or passports? And then lastly, what ongoing support do you need? Do you need accounting done? Do you need tax returns? Are there renewals and licenses, etc.? So those are the steps, the questions I ask when creating a custom plan for individuals. So I'd highly recommend that you go through these and ask yourself and answer these questions. Now, getting a custom plan, how much is it going to cost, or how much is it going to cost to set up an offshore structure? And it depends on a number of factors: the country you currently live in, whether you have a business and whether you need a new business being set up or if it's just personal, the country or countries you decide to move to, the level of support you need, like done for you versus do it yourself, and whether you need backup options in other countries. And so generally speaking, the cost of a setup, depending on your situation and the level of support needed, might average somewhere between 5 to 25K. And in general, it'll take usually 1 to 3 months to get things set up. And so what level should you be at before you're doing this? So it depends a lot on your country and your situation. If your country has an exit tax, you should really be looking to do this sooner rather than later. And if you stand to make multiple 6 figures from crypto, then this should be a no-brainer based on the amount of tax you can save. Or if you're making 100K profit per year in your business, then this should also be a bit of a no-brainer. Any less, it's going to depend on your situation. And so if you're serious about moving offshore and you're willing to spend at least 5K, you can book an initial consultation. I only have limited time slots available for these consultations, and I usually charge for them. So please only book if you're serious. Now, if you're in the mastermind, there's a dedicated channel available to ask questions around tax, offshore setups, and banking, and I'll be in there regularly to answer questions. Okay. I appreciate that was a lot of information. I really hope it was useful and it painted a bit of a picture for you of the landscape out there and how one can go about paying low or no taxes on crypto and business and the kinds of things you need to think about. So here are some useful next steps and considerations for you. So consider your situation. Do you meet those no-brainer requirements of whether it makes sense to move offshore? What are your goals? What are the kinds of places you would like to live? What are you primarily going to optimize for in your offshore plan? Are you optimizing for crypto taxes or for business or both? Would you prefer to live in one place for the majority of the year? Or are you open to living somewhere for 2 to 3 months to get a tax residency and then spending 3 months in 3 other countries? That's a very personal decision. And then, as I say, if you're serious about saving taxes and changing your situation and you're willing to spend at least 5K, book an initial consultation and we'll get a plan started for you. In the next video, we're going to go into some specific examples so you can start to see how all of this comes together.